Okay, it is 2 o'clock, everyone. Welcome to today's Thursday, May 11th, Missoula Board of County Commissioners meeting. I will call this meeting to order, and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Missoula County acknowledges that this event today takes place in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish and Kalispel people. And Cheryl, do you have some announcements for us?
I do. Closed captioning announcement coming right up. Hello, everyone. If you are joining us for this meeting virtually today, instructions for turning on closed captioning are on your screen. If you're joining us in person, we will have closed captioning on all the screens here in the Sophie Moise room, and we also have assisted listening devices available. Please come to me if you would like an assisted listening device, and we will get one for you. We ask that all speakers today remember to speak slowly and clearly during the meeting. This helps with the accuracy of the closed captioning. There will be multiple chances during the meeting for public comment virtually. During those times, if you would like to speak, we ask that you use the raise hand feature. If you are on Microsoft Teams, this is the little small hand button. If you are calling in on the phone, you will need to hit *5 to raise your hand. Then once called on, you will need to hit *6 to unmute. If you have any questions or concerns, please find me during the meeting and let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. And we do have one proclamation today. Commissioner Vero.
Okay, it's May 20th. It's a proclamation, whereas May 20th, 2023 is the 13th Kids to Park Day, organized and launched by the National Park Trust, held annually on the third Saturday of May. And whereas the Kids to Park Day empowers kids and encourages families to get outside and visit local parks, public lands, and waters. And whereas we should encourage children to lead a more active lifestyle to combat issues of childhood obesity, diabetes, hypertension, and hypercholesterolemia. And whereas Kids to Parks Day will broaden children's appreciation for nature and the outdoors, and whereas Missoula County manages 91 parks and more than 40 miles of shared use paths and trails that residents of all ages can enjoy for both active and passive recreation. And whereas Kids to Park Day will recognize the importance of recreating responsibly while enjoying the benefits of the outdoors. Now, therefore, we, the Missoula Board of County Commissioners in the state of Montana, do hereby proclaim May 20th, 2023 as Kids to Parks Day. Thank you.
Thank you. And for those of you joining online, just so you know who is in the room here, or at least up at the front of the camera, I'm Dave Strohmeyer, Missoula County Commissioner. I'm joined by Commissioner Juanita Vero. Commissioner Slotnick, the third commissioner, is unable to make it today. A couple other quick announcements. On Monday, if you are looking for a good time, have an interest in history and heritage in Missoula County, come on out to the library. We are having our biannual Missoula County Heritage Roundtable on the 4th floor of the library. Come hear about all the great things going on in the world of historic preservation in Missoula County. You can also join online if you would like to do so. And then later in the day, come on out to the historic Lalonde Ranch for a ribbon cutting of sorts. The Lalonde Ranch is owned by Missoula County and has recently gone through a restoration process. Beautiful facility embodying the history and heritage of agriculture in Missoula County. It is off Airport Way behind Dino's truck stop or a gas station there, and also across the street from Big Sky Brewing, if you all know where that is. So that is all of our announcements today. Is there any public comment on items not on the agenda? Either by folks in the room, which for folks online is standing room only here in the Sophie Moise room. No, just joking. Elemental, another great announcement. Tonight at the Roxy Theater in Missoula, Montana, will be a showing of a film called Elemental, Reimagine Wildfire. So it's taking a look at mitigating risk in communities and what might be essentially policies in the past that may not have mitigated risk the way that we thought they were, and what we might do in the future living in fire adapted landscapes. 7 p.m. at the Roxy. I'll be on a Q&A panel following the session. Also, we'll be joined by notable fire scientist Jack Cohen, Carolyn Upton, supervisor of the Lolo National Forest, and Gordy Hughes, the fire chief of the Missoula City Fire Department. Again, 7 p.m., Roxy. Any public comment on items not on the agenda? Seeing none. Our current claims list, and these would be claims received as of April 25th through May 3rd, 2023 by the Commissioner's Office, total $2,675,921.93. We have 2 public hearings today. For each of these, we will begin with a staff report, followed by the opportunity for the applicant's representative or applicant to say a few words, and we'll take public comment and then have commissioner discussion. So we'll begin with the O'Keefe Ranch Estates Condition Amendment. Bailey.
Hi, good afternoon. Give me 1 second to pull up my PowerPoint. Yay, there we go. Okay, so this is the O'Keefe Ranch Estates subdivision. It's a condition amendment request and a phasing plan modification. The subject property, I'm going to turn on my laser pointer here. So the subject property is up here in this corner. So this is the Y interchange down here, and Waldo Road comes down here. And so we're talking about this subdivision that's up here in the corner. So just some background, the O'Keefe Ranch Estates subdivision was originally approved in October of 2005. It was subject to 27 conditions of approval. It was approved for 197 lots on 80 acres, originally consisting of 9 phases, but there was a phasing plan modification approved in 2021 that reduced those total number of phases down to 8. So they combined one. The phase 1 has been final platted. That was done in March of 2022. And overall, the project has received multiple plat adjustments, condition amendments, and some phasing modifications. The most recent was March of 2021 and October of 2021. So this request, as I mentioned, it's 2 things. There's a condition amendment to amend condition 15, removing a 5-foot wide walkway at the end of Palmdale Court, and amending condition number 16, which is fixing some renumbering of lots. And then there's also a phasing plan modification, and it's to reorder the phases, amend a boundary for phase 6, and then phase 4, it's showing an amended boundary, but that was actually a condition of approval from the previous phasing plan. So it is showing that change. And I'm going to talk about each one. I'll talk about the condition amendment first, and then the phasing plan to kind of break it up. So the condition amendment, the original subdivision proposed walkways extending from the end of 3 cul-de-sacs located in phase 2, and that's the picture I have on the screen here. And they were proposed to come off of these common areas and connecting to a combined path that would lead to the parkland area. And part of the parkland is dedicated in phases 2 through 4. However, between the original preliminary plat approval and filing of phase 1, the stormwater plan, stormwater was designed and approved by the Montana Department of Environmental Quality, and the final engineered plans demonstrated the need for a greater size drainage system. We've seen this over the last couple of years. The Y area has been changing as far as groundwater wells in this location. So it does make sense that obviously it's been a lot of change since 2005. But this change included a stormwater drainage ditch that was installed with the filing of phase 1 along the property line adjacent to phase 2. The drainage ditch, it's quite large and it is very steep. And due to its location, this required trail, if it was to be installed, it would not meet the slope guidelines for public paths and would require extensive grading, which could destabilize this existing ditch. As I said, they're proposing to maintain this 20-foot wide strip at the end of Palmdale, but install landscaping in that area instead of the trail. So it's actually removing approximately 450 feet of trail location. And it's, if you can kind of see it, I put these red arrows roughly where it would be, where it was proposed to go. And I do have some pictures. So this is that drainage ditch that I was explaining. I put it in here for scale. These are the pictures that were attached to my staff report. Just so this right here, this picture, kind of this bend right here is this location right here at this corner. So you can see kind of, and I know my pictures are really small on the screen, but just the topography kind of change right here in that area and how steep that area is. Oh, yes, yes. I think my directions are correct. So the proposed condition would strike the language, seed would put install landscaping per their approved plan. Would remove Palmdale. There's also a typo that we noticed and that PCI noticed. So the language between lots 68 and 69, that was actually proposed for removal during a previous condition amendment from 2020, but it was missed during the update to like the master set of conditions. So it shouldn't be in there, and it's just, we're going to make sure we really get it this time and remove it. And then as I mentioned, condition 16 is more of a housekeeping amendment due to renumbering of some of the lots. So it's just the numbering situation. And so it's not removing any easements or anything within that. It's just the lot numbers changed. And so to make it clear in the record, we are just fixing that so that that's all compliant. So condition amendments, we review them in accordance with criteria in our subdivision regulations. This request is minor in nature when compared to the entire subdivision and the remaining pedestrian improvements. There are sidewalks along all of the streets. So we're not, with this removal of that walkway, that one section, we're not losing any pedestrian functionality of the subdivision. It won't reduce any safeguards. It's not creating any new impacts or increasing any previous impacts. It's consistent with the findings of fact and conclusions of the original subdivision. And as I said, it's related to the installation of the stormwater drainage facilities, which were engineered to meet the current demand of that current environment. So now the phasing plan. So as I mentioned, they're amending the boundaries and reordering the completion schedule of multiple phases. No changes are being proposed to the phasing expiration deadlines, just making that clear. As I mentioned, so condition of approval from 2021, this intersection here, there's about 6 lots that were proposed to go into phase 4 as a condition of approval, and that they are showing that. I just wanted to bring that up because it looks like it's a change, but it's a change that we already approved. And then there are in phase 6, the new phase, well, I guess the same phase 6, these 3 lots here, as well as this intersection is proposed to be in phase 6 versus in the original was phase 5. And then the proposed phasing plan, the phases would kind of develop more in a clockwise motion. So instead of here it was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 would have been the last phase on this side. Instead, they're moving it so that it kind of develops in this way of a motion. So this last phase, the furthest one from Waldo Road, adjacent to the highway, would be the final phase. So kind of going down in the plan. Is that what I said? Counterclockwise? Oops, sorry. You're right. Counterclockwise, not clockwise. Those are those typos in my staff report. I'm like, oop, whoops, there's one I missed. So again, phasing plan modifications, we have review criteria in our subdivision regulations. It meets these criteria, complies with the subdivision regulations. All the original approval, recent condition amendments are still valid if the phasing plan modification is changed. The phases are contain fully functional infrastructure, so they're not reliant on another phase for an improvement to be done. There were no significant changes expected before the final filing date of that last phase, which is 2031, and public services would not be disrupted with them. So staff is recommending approval of the condition amendment and the proposed phasing plan modification, and I included a draft motion for you guys as well. If you have questions.
Thank you, Bailey. Mr. Ewert, is there anything that you would like to add?
Hi, my name is Ron Ewert with PCI. And first, I'd like to thank Bailey and Tim for all their work on this. I'm sorry we keep having to come back to you, but we're finding ways to do things better or react to situations and so on. So it's best to go through this process, and make sure that everything's understood. In regards to that one cul-de-sac where we didn't want to do the trail, so the original drawing, which we kind of call the 2005 Kent Watson schematic, showed like dashed lines for a pathway coming off of all three. And within that same drawing, he also showed two sports fields, a gazebo, a basketball court, and a tot lot. And so what we've done with that, and he showed the irrigation, the drainage easement that goes through the middle of it. And so what we've done with that very simple sketch was turned it into sort of a gold standard design for a park. The developers hired a landscape architect, and we've been working with them. And we've been working on the civil side, they're on the landscape architecture side, so we've been trying to mesh those plans together. And we turned in our final draft proposal yesterday, because we're working with parks and with planning on this. Everybody's been working all, very, very closely together. So we just want to, let you understand that process is still ongoing. And that's the part that's probably 95% in phases 3 and 4. So definitely by the time we file phase 3, we will have gotten the approval of the plans, and which I expect in the next few weeks or so. And it's been very good working with parks and planning. I mean, people are coming up with some good ideas. Sometimes we don't always agree, but we've done pretty much everything that's been asked for. Now, because of the drainage through there, it's gonna have a little bit of relief to it, but I think it's gonna be a very nice park that, again, that's paid for by the developer and will be maintained by the RSID, which encompasses those 197 lots. So I think it'll be a great place. The fields are actual turf fields. I mean, as an example. So it'll be a pretty nice spot. But I did want to just state that we would like to file phase 2 like today or tomorrow, if possible. I think we've met every condition without going into any details. And again, we just want to make sure that this park discussion is a condition of phase 3. Like I say, it might take a couple weeks or who knows how long. And John's been working with us very closely, as has Bailey. So anyway, thanks again, Bailey, and we're in agreement with the recommendations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron. Ron, before you sit down, one question I have for you, and then we'll take public comment here in a second. So Bailey, could you go back to the plat layout there, the
condition, this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Ron, lots 9 and 10. So the walkway that we're basically eliminating, that's going to be replaced by landscaping.
Right.
Is there a reason why that's being retained rather than if it's not going to be used as a walkway, why not just go back, just split that between lots 9 and 10? Yeah,
well, it'll still be maintained by the homeowner association. It's just kind of a nice little separation between yards. You can still talk to each other, but there's that 20-foot strip in through there. Then somebody wants to walk out there and look at Waldo Road or Meadows of Baron O'Keefe. They can do that. I mean, it's just something we thought we'd leave.
Okay. Yeah, Bailey.
And I can add one thing too. So part of it, that is counted as all of their parkland. So a subdivision has to have a certain amount of parkland dedication for the subdivision. This subdivision ultimately exceeds that requirement under state law, but definitely each phase is supposed to have their own percentage of it. And so by keeping it as common area, we aren't having to deal with any change of, is there a loss of parkland in this section? You know, I mean, it's one of those where it's just keeping the status quo. So.
Okay. Very good. Thanks.
Thank you.
I knew there must be a reason of some sort. So.
Sometimes you just never know.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any public comment on this proposal? Anyone online like to comment? How about security in the back of the room? Nothing? Okay.
I move that we approve the O'Keefe Ranch Estates approve the O'Keefe Ranch Estates condition amendment and phasing plan modification as detailed in the staff report.
Second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you. John Hart, similar subdivision, but different topic.
Yeah, thanks, commissioners. This is a subdivision improvement agreement and guarantee for the O'Keefe Ranch Estates Phase 2, the same development that you handled in the last agenda item. Normally, well, almost exclusively, you see me bring these improvements agreement to you at your administrative public meetings. I'm bringing it to you at this meeting here to help facilitate the request of Mr. Ewert and the developer to try to get this Phase 2 into a position that they can file the final plat just as soon as possible. So rather than wait for a week or two to do this, I told them that I would bring this to your public meeting today. So again, as is common in a larger subdivision, we have some public improvements that have yet to be completed, but the developer, like you've heard, is very eager to file the final plat. The developments or the improvements that have yet to be completed are some stormwater improvements, some sidewalks, curb and gutter, and then some other landscaping features and actually some asphalt work on some of the trails off the cul-de-sacs that you just heard about too. The engineer's estimate, which has been approved by our Public Works Department, is for, along with the 20% contingency, 25% contingency, excuse me, is an estimate of $182,072 to complete those remaining improvements. The developer has submitted to Missoula County an irrevocable standby letter of credit from Mountain West Bank in that very amount of $182,072. I've reviewed that letter of credit. It's appropriate. I've reviewed the improvements agreement and guarantee. I've signed it, and I would recommend that Missoula County enter into it at this time. Let me say one more thing. The developer is agreeing to complete all the improvements on or before March 20th of 2024. And do you have any questions for me about this particular improvements agreement?
No questions. Juanita?
Nope. Oh, sorry. Did you?
No. Is there any public comment on this proposed improvements agreement and guarantee? Okay, seeing none. Juanita?
I'd move that we approve and sign O'Keefe Ranch Estates Phase 2 subdivision improvements agreement and guarantee.
I'll second that. Any further discussion or public comment on the item? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you, Mr. Hart.
Thank you.
Is there any other business to come before the commission today? Seeing none, we will be adjourned. Thank you, everyone.